BMW's Men's Elite 2017 Criterium. Who will take it out this year? 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Well, they're off, and I can tell you it's going to be a real fast race. $3,000 doesn't get thrown around lightly. These guys are not here to enjoy the sun today, they're here to get some money in the bank. The people in the VIP look like they're having a great time too. The wines are flowing, the beers are flowing too. It's been a great day so far, and the crowd, well, it keeps building. Keep your eye on Peanut Corner up the top here. There'll be some action there in this men's race with 90 riders around this course. It's difficult to stay safe, unfortunately, but that's why they're the most talented riders in the country, as we're already seeing attacks go. This is what we want, a real aggressive race.
So that crowd, gee, it's built up a lot in the 15 minutes we were down at the start-finish line, Pat. It's a tremendous atmosphere, terrific crowd on an absolutely stunning day in beautiful Launceston. Lap 1 of the BMW Stand Shaker Launceston Cycling Classic, as they make their way up the hill for the very first time, and have a look at them all bunched up together. Attacks happening already.
Yeah, well, as we said, Livingston on the attack already, fresh off some success out at the Tour of Tasmania. They round the Peanut Corner for the first lap. Edmondson in fourth wheel, but it's Livingston. He's putting the pressure on already, and this is what we want. Melbourne Warrnambool history-making, back-to-back winner, Nathan Elliott making the junction as well, but look at the long line of athletes. Already they're through the start-finish line. There's still riders coming into the straight. Well, it's what we predicted, a really tough and fast start. These riders want to assert their strengths right from the get-go.
So 86 riders have started in the men's race today, one of the biggest fields we have ever had since the event began back in 2003. Absolutely fantastic. Of course, the Tour of Tasmania just finishing in Devonport on Friday with their criterium, and today it's our turn here in Launceston. So 86 riders, plenty of talent and up-and-coming talent. So 55 minutes will be the race, plus 2 laps.
Yeah, so it'll nearly take them dead on the hour. But I tell you what, these riders, they're absolutely spurred on by the crowd that's here today, because it's not often they get to race in front of these numbers, and it's been a great day of racing already, but this is really the cream of the crop. And Peter Livingston, well, he's not mucking around. He's flying around this circuit. I tell you what, he's got a gut full of talent, this kid. He's brilliant this week, winning a stage up at Grindelwald earlier in the week at the Tour of Tasmania, stage 1. But look at the peloton chasing him down. It's none other than Sutherland from the Ed Swiss team. Big attack, and we'll look forward to seeing him later. Tell you what, he's got more bullets than I've seen go through the military. The guy can fire them off all day long.
That's a new line. I like that one, Pat.
He's an incredible rider, I tell you what. He's had some setbacks over the years, but he looks like he's finally got everything right. And he's shown that by his aggressive racing in Tour of Tasmania this week. He took out the Tour of the Amy's Otway Challenge earlier in the year, and he's just been fantastic to watch. I love the animators, the ones that go out there and animate the race for you, the public that are viewing. They're just as important as the winners.
86 riders, and very impressively they've negotiated the roundabout, and we've got them all in there. Still, we can see them spread out. They make their way down through the slip lane to Tamar Street, and they'll swing into Cimetière. And you can see the Shimano Arch there, of course, round 1 of the National Sprint Series. So all important points up for grabs, and of course $3,000, 3,000 smackers for the winner today as well.
Yeah, well, important to mention that this is part of a 3-part series sponsored by Shimano. There's one here in Launceston, which will probably pull one of the biggest crowds for the events, but there's also Sydney Criterium coming up next at the end of the month, and then early in December, mid-December, there's the Melbourne Supercrit, which always is a ripper event. And there's a fair few trying to draw me into having a race, but I think that's going to be a negative on my front.
Okay, so here they come. Round 4, lap 3, and it's Jesse Coyle at the front. Leading the way, plenty of hometown support here too, as they file through the start-finish line. Early stages of the men's race. Terrific crowd, as we always see, building up through the afternoon, piling in around the course, and very well spread right around the circuit today, as you can see on the screen. They slip down very fast, little right-hand turn there as they make their way downhill. An outstanding field. As we mentioned, Stil Bonhoff from the One Pro Cycling team, winner down here last year. Neil van der Ploeg, winner here in 2014. You remember that year? It was a famous year in Launceston with 4-time Tour de France champion in Chris Froome. Raced here with Richie Porte that year as well. So Neil van der Ploeg took it out in a very tight race. He's here today as well. So great to see defending champions Anthony Giacopo, Nathan Earl, and of course Pat chatting earlier with Miles Scotson, BMC racing teammate of Richie Porte, 23-year-old Australian Road Race Championship champion.
Significant move here. 6 riders off the front. Looks like Elliott, I think, there. There's also Alex Edmondson. It's a young rider from Informed Tonelli. Dylan Sutherland's there as well. And Jesse Coyle. Well, Jesse Coyle, we all know the motor he's got in his system. He could drive this away. But what we see in this group is that big ascent up the wall, and it only takes a bit of a surge of pace out of the back group, and they close that gap quite quick. Well, I thought the pace was going to be on, and the pace has been well and truly on, and already there are a few victims at the back. If you're at the back of this race, you're in big trouble. Already we see Miles Scotson. He was nearly last wheel, last lap, but he's moved up about 30 positions. I expect to see him right at the front in about 2 laps' time. He said on the start line he was motivated for a big race today.
So just a quick reminder to our women riders to return their transponders, please, to the registration desk, if you could return the transponders. So just running through a few of the riders we got here. Terrific to have, as we spoke earlier, to Alex Edmondson. It's the first time he's taken part in this event. He's a world champion in the individual pursuit and teams pursuit, and a Commonwealth Games gold medalist. He is wearing number 2, Orica Scott. So terrific to have the South Australian here with us as well. But so much talent, young rising talent of cycling here in Australia. And we are very fortunate to have them here for this great event, the University of Tasmania Launceston Cycling Classic.
Yeah, well, they're not mucking around. The pace is on, and even more riders have joined this group. What's important is the makeup. Brendan Davids has made the junction from the Oliver's Real Foods. Cameron Bailey's there, Nathan Elliott. Oh, a bit of a fall there. Take your lap, take your lap. Don't be rushed. Go out to the gate, go out to the fence and take your lap. Hop off the road. Righto, and the group's chasing Sean Lake, Liam McGuinness. Well, Liam McGuinness got a big engine too, but this race has been on from the get-go, and there's no relentless. Look at the group, they're looking to catch their breath, but it's just no chance whatsoever.
So just so our spectators are aware, so the riders who do take a spill are able to take that lap and rejoin the race. So it's a very fair rule, and great to see. So he'll dust himself off and be hopefully back in the race, rejoining them at the next lap here at the Peanut Roundabout. Hasn't been the first rider, and I don't think will be the last. It is such a difficult corner when they reach the top of that gut-busting hill and then have that very sharp final right-hand turn. We saw it last year with Stil Bonhoff, negotiated safely and came through with the victory right on that final corner.
Unfortunately, that's James Whelan. He was the 3rd place getter on the general classification of the Tour of Tasmania, ladies and gentlemen. He rode as an individual in the National Road Series event, and he almost won it. It was an incredible ride earlier this week, so hopefully that crash hasn't done him too much damage. He's taken his lap out. He'll have to wait and join the group when they come by. But he's definitely a talent of the future, there's no doubt about that, James Whelan. He's really put himself on the map as that front group's coming now, and already the back group is getting panic stations. Sean Lake putting in the big moves from behind. As it is Miles Scotson that's put in the big turn to get on the group. Pat Lane holding his wheel, but this front group's really strong and they're motivated. Jesse Coyle doing a bucket load of work. Sean Lake takes the bunch through. And now look at this big move, ladies and gentlemen. Miles Scotson, your Australian champion. There's no holding back for him. He was last wheel 3 laps ago. Well, now he's going across to the break. He senses the danger. He knows Alex Edmondson's in there. And he knows there's Jesse Coyle, who's in flying form out of the National Road Series.
So moves galore. James Whelan, as we mentioned, came a cropper at that last lap. He's rejoined the race, third in the Tour of Tasmania, recently completed, of course, in Devonport on Friday. He's back in amongst the leading pack. Of course, that's where he was before he came off. So what a start to the race we've had. We've only been going 10 minutes. Some outstanding riding and racing already taking place. Our riders making their way along the flat area of the course, along Cemetery Street. And our lead car comes up, and our motorbike, they will swing right up to the Wall of Pain, and here they come. They are spread out in a big group of around about 14, 15 riders as they make their way up the hill.
Remember, there's those sprint laps as well. 15 minutes in and 30 minutes in. It's Brendan Davids now pouring it on. Well, this is like a shootout at the V8 Supercars. No one's holding back. Edmondson looks like he's ridden this one smart so far. He's just in the group, sitting in the wheels nice and tight as the group comes back together. But it'll string out again outside this peanut corner. Miles Scotson, what a move that was last lap. Well, there's going to be some serious casualties in the next 3 or 4 laps. And if you're at the back, your time is ticking. The hourglass is tipped over and the sand is pouring out. Well, big moves by Brendan Davids at the front, but he's actually put his own teammates in a lot of trouble at the back of the peloton.
So the 23-year-old Australian road race champion, Miles Scotson from BMC, great move, sitting there in about 10th, going over the start-finish line. So this is going to be a race of so many chances in today's BMW Stand Shaker Cycling Classic. It is going to be an outstanding race, and as I said, we've only been going 10 minutes. They're just swinging by past the Albert Hall now, a little bit of respite coming down that hill. They're spread out in single file, but there's a huge group there. And,
hey, Rick, how's the people down at the Gunners Arms, mate?
Have a look at them.
Have a look at them.
7 or 8 deep down there.
Give us a wave down at the Gunners Arms. Come on, put your arms up. That's it.
I don't think they can hear the cowbells. There'll be enough noise
and it's a
being
solo rider off the front here, and it looks like Dylan Sunderland from the Nent Swiss team. He's making the junction. He's always racing aggressive, this guy. He's still young and he's got a lot in the tank. Look forward to seeing what he can do over the summer. Or is it actually Tom Robinson? No, it's Ryan Kavanagh. They all look the same. It's crazy. Who'd think they're all wearing the same colours?
So actually James Whelan there, and what a great recovery from James after he came off for the last lap as well. So 3rd place in the Tour of Tasmania, continuing on that outstanding form. So
yeah, well,
massive
James Whelan, we spoke about how he's got such young talent, and well, he nearly won the Tour of Tasmania last week, 1 out. He came to the Tour 1 out, and he went into the last criterium, and he had a really good buffer. But unfortunately, it was like the perfect storm it created for the other riders that were on the general classification, as a group of about 15 formed off the front of that stage, the final stage. And he unfortunately lost the yellow jersey. But he did hold on to 3rd on the general classification. So it's worth noting that he is in exceptional form, and he's really wanting to put himself right on the map. Being joined by Ryan Kavanagh is not going to hurt his campaign either.
No, it's certainly good to see that James has obviously come off with no injuries from that fall and looking very strong out the front. So, gee, it doesn't seem long ago that they were here, and here they come again. They're about to go past the Gunners Arms, the 2 out the front. They've opened up a healthy little margin here, that gap out to probably about 30, 40 metres at the moment as they make their way up the hill. James Whelan leading the way, the youngster, as I mentioned, a great Tour of Tasmania. And just taking the lead from him is the young New South Wales Institute of Sport rider, Dylan Sunderland. So Dylan Sunderland and James Whelan, a gap of about 20 metres. And that's being led by Tasman Nankervis from GPM. And here come the rest of them. They're bunched up together, going around the roundabout. Very important to negotiate that safely. Very, very early stages of the race still. We've still got around 40 minutes left to go before we get to the final couple of laps.
Yeah, and look, there's about 15 guys left that can win this race, I reckon. That has been absolutely on from the get-go, and there's about 4 or 5 guys I keep my eye on in the middle of the group at the moment, and they look an absolute piece. But the problem is this big group going away. Who's going to chase it? Brendan David's going across, and I think he was taking across either Nathan Elliott or Sean Lake. Well, that's another big powerhouse going across now. Looks like Jesse Coyle just in the background. But the problem is, it's the small groups when they come up the wall here, Rick, they just lose a bit more momentum than what the peloton does. Because the bigger group, they roll over the top of each other and they come into the peanut with just that little bit more momentum. So even though it looks like a relatively large gap, and I said it earlier in today when we were watching the women's race, a couple of years ago there was about a minute lead with 3 laps to go on this circuit in the men's race, and they got home by about 50 metres. So it can be closed up really quickly, but you can see there's a real ascendancy from the Swiss group. It's both Sunderland and Kavanagh representing in this front group, and that's really potent. Cam Bailey there as well. As you mentioned, it's James Whelan, 3rd place in the Tour of Tasmania. He takes a strange line on that peanut. I don't like it, but he's got through this time. Alex Edmondson's there. It's also there is Tasman Nankervis, 36, which is Sasha Bondarenko-Edwards from the Informed Tonelli. You can write his name down because he's a real danger. But this second group has stopped. Dylan Newbury there on the back of Nathan Elliott and Brendan Davids. So who's going to do the work from the peloton? There's a lot of representation up front, and this is where the race really starts to take shape.
So Jesse Coyle in that lead group as well. Alex Edmondson, the South Australian, sitting in 4th over the start-finish line. So a good move and a good break, and some serious talent in that group. But as we mentioned, there is a long way to go in this event. And the BMW Stan Shaker Cycling Classic, as we see them go around into Cimetière Street, is certainly going to be anyone's race out of many of our riders here. As we said earlier, it is one of the biggest fields we've had in the history of the event, 86 riders. And huge crowds as we look down Lawrence Street on both sides of the road. Plenty of people taking shade on this spectacular day in Launceston under the trees. And a bit of a break here from our 3 riders. Pat, they looking over the shoulder, coming up the hill.
Yeah, and look, this is a good move, but you only want to be doing these types of moves if the group's not working. If the group is working well, this is the last thing you want to be spreading this group out every lap because they're less and less likely to help out.
So Alex Edmondson leading them around. So Alex has taken the lead. Sitting right on him is Ryan Kavanagh.
Dylan Sunderland took out the first intermediate sprint from Cameron Bailey, and it was James Whelan, the Tasmanian Tour 3rd place getter. He was in 3rd place also in that first intermediate sprint. So it was, again, Dylan Sunderland, Cameron Bailey, and then it was the rider James Whelan. The bunch is still trying to push from behind, but it's difficult to work out where their priorities lie. Are they happy with the breakaway at this point? Alex Edmondson up there, you'd want to have a good sprinter. You'd want to have a real good sprinter up there.
So Pat Lane from Isaway leading the main bunch. As I said, yeah, it's got to really keep an eye on these sprinters. Of course, Alex, an outstanding track cyclist, and it's terrific to have him down here in Launceston for the very first time, taking his place in the Stan Shaker Cycling Classic. It's a star-studded lineup, and they really are. How far do you think is, I mean, as you said, it can change very quickly, Pat, but do you think there's a lot of talking going on amongst the peloton?
Yeah, well, the group will be getting organised from behind, but one rider can't bring this group back. But also, we're assuming cohesion in this group is good. All they've got to do is have a few arguments up front, hold up for a couple of laps. That does become very detrimental to the group. And by the looks of things, I don't think they're working all that cooperatively in this group. Already we can see a few more riders coming across now. Again, looks like David's in there, Brendan Davids. It looks like Newbury there or Coyle. Coyle's in this front group, so it must be Newbury coming across. But you can see the pain that it puts in the riders. This is now a considerable gap though.
Very interesting to see one rider in that group. Alex Edmondson was the only one to take a very keen look 2 or 3 times down the hill to see what was happening down there. So he's really switched on for this, and he's in a great position. And very interesting to see. He's keeping a very, very careful eye on what's happening behind him.
Yes, the difficult thing is it's hard to find who's going to chase this back. Mind you, like I always said to my guys when I'd race, if we don't think we've got the winner in the front group, let's bring it back. Well, there'd be a couple of guys in this peloton that'd be a bit worried about that group's formation up front. This has been a really hard-fought race, though, and that's the problem. Some of these riders have just taken their first deep breath for the entire race. Well, we've nearly been racing 20 minutes. It is a difficult circuit. As I said to Macy Stewart earlier, and she agreed, it's a really hard circuit, but you can make it slightly easier if you ride it correctly. And that's about gear selection. It's about following the right wheels. In cycling, we talk about dead wheels. They're the wheels that just stay still when a move's made. Well, you want to be on the ones that want to be in the race. You don't want to be on the wheels that don't want to be in the race. And this group, well, it's full of wheels that want to be in the race, isn't it, Rick?
My word it is. They are looking very, very good out the front, and a good gap. It's a group of 8 riders. They negotiate carefully in single file and doing it very nicely indeed. Coming over there, it's the team from, looks like Dylan Sunderland and Jesse Coyle, our first 2. Alex Evanson right on their heel as well, and that gap is certainly extensive. We're almost at the midway point of the race. A very, very decisive move at this stage.
Yeah, but I can tell you, once that group up front stops, that's when the damage is done from behind. And look, these are the moves that make it happen. So out of the bunch, it's a saddleless Verve rider coming across. If Davids can just get a bit of momentum, get in the straight, jump on this next move. It is that of, it's the rider there. Tim Seller it is. Tim Seller that's gone and made the move, and it's an aggressive and it's in a positive mood as well. Zach Gilmore, well, it's a brilliant story this. I tell you what, I had the pleasure of doing the live stream coverage of the Tour of Gippsland about 2 weeks ago. I spoke about it earlier. The kid had chemo 7 days before the tour. He lines up at the NRS and he was finishing quite well up there. I tell you what, if that's not a story to jerk your tears, well, I don't know what is. It's a brilliant story. And it's something that's great about our sport. And there's a lot of people here I know that will know Zach's story. And well, he's showing good form out there now too.
A very popular young man and a very talented rider, Zach Gilmore, riding for the TIS team.
Well, this is what I was talking about. Starting to get a disruption at the front. And it is the rider of...
So James Whelan.
James Whelan it is, you're right, and he's made a big move for it. Get behind him, ladies and gentlemen. He's made a big move for it. No one's responding from this group. This is what turns the race around. Moves like this, it's an aggressive and it's a positive move. And well, he did a lot of that last week in the Tour of Tasmania, and he's really stood out for me. He's a fantastic ride, and it's unfortunate that he lost the Tour lead, but he didn't do it without trying, and he held on to 3rd place. It was an incredible effort for a young rider with such a lack of experience at this point. But here comes aggressive move. It looks like the move of Giacopo, and also, no, it's Patrick Lane. He's launched the rider there, Alistair Christie-Johnson. This is going to be an interesting move. It's Liam McGuinness there, 2nd wheel. He's a strong rider as well. Well, there the gaps are opening up. Last year's winner, Steele Von Hoff, he seeks the danger. He's going to cross the move.
So the charges are on. There's a couple of riders just here on the hill, a bit of a technical problem. A couple of riders just gone off to the right, and here comes our lead motorbike. So we've got our riders that have got a bit of a breakaway here. So
get behind James Whelan, ladies and gentlemen. This is an incredible ride. He's been out there swapping off with that group, and now he's decided, well, you aren't going to roll through and share the workload. I'm going to get the job done on my own. Good on you, mate. Push the pedals hard. This is a great move.
It is, and of course, he already had that little stack there early in the race as well. He's recovered well, and obviously very, very strong young man. And look at him going through. Geez, he looks strong. He's out of the seat, sprinting down under the University of Tasmania banner.
Yes, well, the University of Tasmania, major sponsor of the event, but I tell you who's not looking real flash is about 3/4 of that front group now. They were looking really good 3 or 4 laps ago, but it shows you how tough this circuit is. And in actual fact, the faster they ride, obviously the further they cover because it's a timed event, so they're kind of doing themselves in both ways.
They are, aren't they? It's and yeah, look, a 1.1 kilometre circuit. It's not long, and here comes the main group. Some spectators got to get out of the way very, very quickly. They do. And they're piled up there once again, bunched up together. And we're going to see some other moves here as they make their way to the top of the hill.
Yes, it's just the snag that moves at the moment, though. This is the calm before the storm. We're nearly, 20, 30 minutes in almost, 25 minutes in. It's been real hot pace, and there's no one missing out on the pain in the group. And look at the move from a previous winner, Giacopo. He makes the move. McGuinness tries to follow. Well, these are the moves that are going to break up this group. We spoke about in the women's race about if small groups can get together, they could make the junction. It never occurred in the women's race, but it certainly can in this race right now. Still it is. James Whelan out in front. Ultra impressive, wouldn't you say, Rick?
Ultra impressive. I've been super impressed with his strength and his mental fortitude after the spill. Terrific to see the young man, number 88. Jack Whelan doing an outstanding job. There he goes. Open up a gap of about 35 metres, 40 metres, and looking very strong indeed as he makes his way through the arch. We're over halfway through the race, and he's looking very good. They're just starting to spread out.
The elite women's riders, if they can return their transponders to the St. Luke's tent, it's the white tent on the left-hand side of the finish line. That'd be great. Thank you very much. And also, thank you very much for such an entertaining race earlier. It was taken out by young Lucas there, Charlotte Lucas from Rockside. New Zealand national, well, she was ultra impressive, I know that. She looked fantastic the whole day. Looked like Macy Stewart was going to take the race, but Charlotte came over the top. And then Talbot hung on for third. Giacopo throwing down another big one. This is a mean one, though. He's really going to get the job done. That's what he wants to do. Start to cause some issues with the peloton. Get a small group together. It's going to be interesting to see who can respond to this. It's McGuinness. He's been responding all day. Newbury tries. Von Hoff's there as well. Holiday. It's going to be interesting to see if they can form a little group at the front. This group out in front is, the breakaway is really getting disrupted by the counterproductive efforts at the moment, but they've almost got a lapse lead. I was speaking earlier about a few years ago, there was a group about a minute up with 3 laps to go and they almost got brought back. Well, it's behaviour like this that makes that happen. And then it's now going to be Whelan joining back in the pack.
So Alex Edmondson moves into second, almost alongside young Whelan. So this is going to be a humdinger of a finish. We're over halfway through, about 27 minutes through, just on halfway. Plenty of riding left to go. Super conditions. Thankfully, Pat, the wind hasn't picked up as much as we thought it would today, but does it get windy in Ballarat?
I don't know if I agree. I reckon the wind has, but it's also changed direction. It's now a tailwind up the climb, and that's what's sort of making it a bit more stagnant for the group. If it was a headwind, that would slow that front group down, but they're getting all the headwind on the front straight and that side straight, and then down the back straight and up here, they've got cross tail and tailwind, and I think we're looking at about a 40-second gap at the moment, so it's still within reach, and it looks like Tom Robinson, the local Tasmanian, he's making a move for a Tour of Gippsland stage winner. He's joined by a few of the riders there. One of the riders from Inform Tonelli, he's not going to be wanting to do too much. He knows he's got a good representation up front, Stuart Smith that is.
And teammate Ethan Barron's right on Tom's hammer there too. So they come through. A lot of work to be done, but a long way to go in the race still.
And already they're coming into the straight. I think they can taste the blood. They're like sharks in the water. It's a big move here. Ryan Kavanagh, he's been resting at the back and now he's made his ascendancy at the front. Cameron Bailey's following the move. Alex Edmondson, he's just ticking all the boxes right at the moment. He's trying to get this group to get cooperative together, but none of them want to be part of it. They just want to keep attacking. So he said, well, sometimes a fence is the best way to go, and he started to attack himself as well. What do they got? They've got about 30 minutes. They've just been given the 30-minute whistle for the second intermediate sprint. And well, I think that'll be the least of the concerns for Alex Edmondson. He'll be thinking of one thing here today, and that's success on the line. It's a family tradition with the Edmondsons. They just love winning everything.
Yeah, he flew into Launceston yesterday. I think he has got one thing on his mind. Looked very, very relaxed before the race, but that gap is very, very, very big at the moment. And Alex looking in fantastic shape. But James Whelan, as you mentioned, Pat, third in the Tour of Tas, just been absolutely outstanding.
Yes, well, this little group here has got a chance, though, because they just got to get together. Standish, who performed well in the hill climb sprint earlier, he's made that group there. He's the one pushing really hard on the pedals to form that group. Sean Lake and Holiday, they're trying to make their way across. The rest of the field looks like they're still a bit tired. How long until we see the lead group? Here they come. They're just behind. They're starting to get the group in front, in sights. We could be up for a bit of lapping here, and this group is motivated. But it's the big work from N-Swiss. They're trying to split this group. Last lap, Ryan Kavanagh. Now it's Dylan Sunderland. He's an impressive bike rider, this lad, I tell you. It was a pleasure to race against him, but I'm glad that I'm not racing against him now because he's put it up a notch. It's his teammate Ryan Kavanagh on the front. Alex Edmondson 2 wheels back. James Whelan at the back. Cam Bailey sitting behind him. Well, it's starting to take shape, but it looks like the winner most likely will come from this group.
It looks that way at the moment. We are half an hour into the race. So about 25 minutes to go.
The painful thing about this criterium racing, you see that front group, they've got the peloton in their sights. It's very much like Madison cycling. You can be nearly taking that lap, you get within 15 metres of the bunch, all of a sudden they rip the pace, split the group, you don't get the lap. So they've got them in sights, but sometimes that can be the bone that just sits too far away and breaks that elastic band of the breakaway group.
Indeed, and we do thank BMW for their support today. Of course, naming rights partner of the Stan Shaker Cycling Classic for this year. Part, of course, of the University of Tasmania Cycling Festival. So, I think Pat's got the results of the latest sprint.
Yeah, it was Dylan Sunderland again, and in second place his teammate Ryan Kavanagh, and in third Alex Edmondson, number 2. But it's Dylan Sunderland that's really put the afterburners on, and he's hurting this group at the back. It's forcing Alex Edmondson to do more work than he'd want to. And at the front, it's even Jesse Coyle. He's trying to do what he can. But look at this. Dylan Sunderland's now got the peloton in his sights. He's got one thing in his mind. Catch the back of that car. Go, Dylan. You're going like a train.
Unbelievable ride from Dylan Sunderland, number 25, doing an outstanding job. Jesse Coyle there, leading the next lot. So what an outstanding ride it has been so far to have the peloton in his sight halfway through the race. Outstanding ride from Dylan Sunderland. Looks incredibly strong, the New South Wales Institute of Sport rider. Very impressive on the climbs and really putting those afterburners on. It's going to be really interesting to see the shape this race takes on this next lap.
Well, we keep our eyes peeled for when we see the peloton and then when we see the BMW, the major sponsor this year for the Stan Shaker Classic. And well, it's looking pretty good. Tom Robinson's driving the pedals here, but it's his teammate Dylan Sunderland that's doing all the damage back in the breakaway. And well, it sounds silly. It's a bit hard to keep up with where we're at. So this is actually the second group on the road. Then we've got the peloton. And then we've got Dylan Sunderland that looks like he's almost making contact. Well, if that's right, well then we're going to have a bit of an issue here for the commissaires. It is Dylan Sunderland. Leave him room around the outside. Dylan Sunderland, he's made contact. He needs to get past these riders. They're all lapped now. These riders have all been lapped by Dylan Sunderland. What an impressive effort. He needs to get underneath the wheels and let him out. He's getting through the gap. There we go. Whoa, nice move.
Magnificent riding from Dylan Sunderland. He's safely negotiated the pack and got around there, looking in unbelievable shape.
Well, that's what happens when you're in the peloton and you don't want to push the pedals hard. You get lapped. So race over, I think, for those boys, but now we're down to that chase group as well. Dylan Sunderland's put in the hard effort, but all his momentum was held up by catching the group at that point. He might have been a bit better laying off a bit, but, you know, hindsight's king, isn't it?
But the main thing for him is safely through, and he certainly got past him on the straight there. So we can see them in the shadows of the late afternoon sun in Launceston, coming around the corner now into Cemetery Street. We'll see Dylan there very shortly. A little bit of a look over the shoulder. Incredible racing. Incredible ride from this young talent. We've still got a fair while to go. A lot of racing to be done still. Some real contenders out there.
Yeah, but both Kavanagh and also Sunderland, they've really just been impressive for about a month now. And he continues to push hard because the peloton will be holding up that chase group quite considerably. But he needs to keep punching up this climb. It's not easy when you're on your own. He's not getting anyone to draft off, so he has to keep pushing. The gap's about 80 metres. But look at how the potent he is on the pedals. What a ride. Get behind him, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. This isn't just a little ride. This is a great ride as the chase is coming from behind. Still the same group. That's it, get behind him. He's got a teammate sitting in the wheels, getting the ride of his life. Cam Bailey at the back. It is James Whelan sitting in front of him. Alex Edmondson in front of him. Sasha Bondarenko Edwards and Jesse Coyle make up the group. Day's over for the peloton. Not from a lack of attempts from one of the past champions, Jed Cope, threw it in a few times. Scottson tried his best. But once the pressure's on out the front, you get 10 guys swapping off. It's very difficult to make ground.
So the GPM rider, Tasman Nankervis, also very impressive, making a bit of a bold charge there on the finishing straight. We're sitting there in second to Dylan Sunderland. Magnificent performance. You can see him there on the screen if you're in the vicinity. Heading into Cemetery Street now as he takes a little look over the shoulder to see what's happening behind him.
So this is still a chase group here. And there comes the lead moto. We're looking to see, these guys could push it on. They might be able to catch up to some of the remnants of the group. The rest of the peloton's been pulled out. It is the rider that you mentioned earlier in Tasman Nankervis. He's decided it's time to pursue him on his own. It's still a big ride. Dylan Sunderland still pushing hard, and I tell you what, he's not on the front of that group at the back, but he's doing some damage. It is Tasman Nankervis. He's trying everything he can. Edmondson, Coyle, Whelan, Sasha Bondarenko Edwards, Cameron Bailey, and right at the back, Ryan Kavanagh. And I tell you what, he's like a lion licking his lips and looking at his prey. I tell you, he's waiting for the launch pad, just gives the little nod.
So it looks certainly at this stage to be a race in eight riders there in the lead. And Dylan Sunderland will be looking to just catch his breath here. We've got a long way to go still. We are, 35, 40 minutes almost into the race. So they've still got a good 20 minutes or so to go. They'll get 2 laps after 55 minutes.
It's not over for these guys either. They've got to keep motivated, keep working the turns. If they play cat and mouse in those last laps, we've seen in the past, you can lose a minute, and they're not a minute behind at the moment. But look who's coming around the last corner very shortly. He's just gone to the back straight, Dylan Sunderland, should I say. He's really driving the pedals, and this is not a problem for him. He has a time trial pedigree, and he can keep pushing on those pedals. He'll use these riders in this bunch as his bunny. He'll be chasing them like a greyhound, and he knows they're chasing from behind. But the thing for Dylan Sunderland, he's got an insurance policy sitting in that bunch, and it's called Ryan Kavanagh.
So Ethan Behrens just sitting there with Dylan Sunderland. And that group of 8.
Here he comes now, Dylan Sunderland, still punching on the pedal, still looks good. He's not in trouble at all. This is his game. He loves this type of race. Edmondson from the back. Here's the big move. He's the champion. He's a champion rider and he's a champion tactician. This is a big move. Bailey sees the danger. He's chasing. This is probably the time. He's got to have to make the big ones, and he has. Look at the power going through the pedals. It is Whelan and Sasha Bondarenko-Edwards trying to chase. Kavanagh's been left behind with Coyle. They're going to have a pretty hard lap ahead of them. But now we're seeing the game. It'll continue to change. Next time they come around, I reckon get ready for the big Ryan Kavanagh.
All right, we'll keep an eye out on him. Alex Edmondson, the world champion, a gold medalist at the Commonwealth Games, riding very strongly and making a real statement on that lap at the top of the hill, trying to chase down Dylan Sunderland. Number 25 and number 2, Alex Edmondson from Orica Scott, who mentioned his first visit to Launceston, and wouldn't he love to walk away with $3,000?
Yeah, and there's a couple of guys in there, a little bit smoky. So those 2 guys from Informed Tonelli, James Whelan, obviously in great form. Sasha Bondarenko-Edwards, he popped the cork off the bottle for Informed Tonelli and won their first NRS stage at Tour of Gippsland. In the last stage of Tour of Gippsland, it was a brilliant move. He hit from behind at about 3/4 lap to go. He got the gap and he held on to the finish. But here's the move that we thought would come, and it has. But a smart rider like Edmondson, he was waiting for it. He knew it was coming. Kavanagh, Edmondson, and now the pursuit from Whelan from behind. No, it's Bondarenko-Edwards trying everything. No, it is Whelan. Whelan, Sunderland, and then it's Coyle. Looks like there's a couple in danger here now. So it's a big move there. It's Ryan Kavanagh and Edmondson. Then it's Whelan. Sunderland won't help him. Coyle chasing. Bailey on the back of Sasha Bondarenko-Edwards. And then the rider that put the big dish in last lap, Tasman Nankervis, now starting to pay the price just a little bit.
Superb riding, superb racing that we're seeing here at the 2017 Stand Shaker Cycling Classic. We're going to be in for a grandstand finish. We're down to the real business end of the race now. A lot of racing to be done, but you can be short of a great finish. Packed streets we can see around the course. Fantastic to see so much support from the local community here in northern Tasmania. A stunning day for racing and another great day for the Launceston Cycling Festival, with thanks to the University of Tasmania.
Well, it's been an incredible race, but it's an incredible crowd, and that's why they're racing as hard as they are. They look around, they know there's a big crowd here, and like I said earlier, this is one of the biggest crowds these guys will have raced in front of all year. This second group, it's about to be absorbed. Who's going to come around the corner first? It is the 2 riders still. So smart move here by Kavanagh. Edmondson won't be worried about helping him out. They're going to be pretty difficult to pick a winner out of those 2. Both supreme athletes. And from behind, it's now Sasha Bondarenko-Edwards. He's doing the job for his teammate. And now it's Whelan. Whelan tries to follow the move from Cam Bailey. Look at the power in that attack. He's coming across. Should make the junction over the finish line. Whelan trying to pursue. Then Sunderland, Coyle, Sasha Bondarenko-Edwards. And then it's Tasman Nankervis. Tasman just needs to dig in. He needs to dig in and survive. The big deep breaths. He's struggling to get on, but Coyle also. Coyle's got a big engine, but he looks like he's hurting a bit out there. And if he's hurting, then it's been a real hell of a day.
So as they are about to go down into Tamer Street, it's Alex Edmondson and Ryan Kavanagh. Number 2 and number 22 leading the way. There they go, just through the slip. They'll get a nice little ride down the hill of Tamer Street before they come around again. So those gaps starting to widen up, some real attacks happening. But at the moment it is Alex Edmondson and Ryan Kavanagh, New South Wales Institute of Sport rider. It's these 2 out the front, Kavanagh and Edmondson. Kavanagh just having a turn at the front at the moment. So we are almost 3/4 of an hour into the race, so that means we've only got 10 minutes, 12 minutes or so of racing and 2 laps.
So when you see the BMW vehicle, the riders directly after the BMW vehicle, that's first and second on the road. Edmondson and Kavanagh. Kavanagh from the N-Swiss, Edmondson from Orica Scott. They're being pursued by the group of 3, Bailey, Whelan and Sunderland. Sunderland and Kavanagh have played this like champions today. It's been a great way of teamwork. And now it looks like Coyle and Bondarenko-Edwards will make the junction. Unfortunately, Nankervis looks like he's a casualty from the group, so he's not going to make back in the junction. These 2 out in front look strong, Kavanagh and Edmondson. Whelan's trying everything he can. He's doing everything he can. He's a supreme young athlete, this kid. I'll tell you what, we'll be reading more and more about him in the future.
Yeah, we've got some class here in Launceston this year, that's for sure. An outstanding field of great experienced riders and up-and-coming young talent from right around the country. Outstanding to see. It's going to be a thrilling final 12 or 13 minutes of this race, that's for sure. Ryan Kavanagh and Alex Edmondson, our two leaders at the moment. They've opened up a pretty healthy gap as they turn right onto the straight of Cimetière Street, and they'll do it all again very shortly as they make their way up Lawrence Street and up the hill of Hurt, and it will be starting to hurt, but we are getting down to the final stages. We can see the lead BMW coming up the hill now, so our two leading riders, Alex Edmondson and Ryan Kavanagh, about to swing into the hill. The motorbike coming, and here they are.
45 minutes of racing almost complete. Here's your two leaders, Edmondson and Kavanagh, and they look like they're building momentum, Rick. They look like they've got a good camaraderie out of there, but it's interesting because they're very different bike riders.
We know that hill, of course, the Gunners Arms Hill Challenge earlier, it's 130 metres, so that gap is probably around about 100 to 110 metres at the moment as Alex Edmondson leads the way at the start-finish line, but right on his shoulder, that's Ryan Kavanagh. These two have opened up a very, very healthy gap with about 10 or 11 minutes left to go. So, and then we got the chasing group of 5, led by this impressive young man. He's still in right in the race, number 88, James Whelan. Been a very impressive ride, so he's sitting in 3rd place, leading the group of 5. So it's Kavanagh, Edmondson and Whelan, James Whelan.
Yeah, get behind Tasman Nankervis. Come on, he's in 7th, 8th place at the moment. He needs to hang on. Top 10 positions given today. So he needs to fight it out. He's got about 10 minutes to drive those pedals. Well, they didn't muck around. We said that it would be on from the get-go, Rick, and it definitely was. It was single file for the first 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden the elastic band broke, and that's where it finds us now. But these guys will fight it out for the final 2 spots, but they'll want to hurry on because they've probably got a chance of being lapped, just like the field was earlier. Because it won't be long, we'll see Alex Edmondson, we'll see Ryan Kavanagh come into the corner. Here they are now. Well, just over 10 minutes remaining in the race. And these riders, they've been going at it the whole time. I tell you what, they'll sleep well tonight, Rick.
My word, they'll sleep well. There'll be a lot of people sleeping well tonight, I think, too, looking in the VIP area. But at the moment, we've got some serious racing to be done. There's plenty of sunshine here and a great afternoon and sensational crowd. And it's Alex Edmondson and Ryan Kavanagh. I reckon that gap's still about the same. James Whelan still seems leading the front of the next group. Number 88. Some health hazards here, Pat. These some of these loose steps here. We've got to watch where we're walking, don't we?
Yeah, you sometimes forget where you are, but this group, it's still in the race. It's still in the race. It just needs to keep its momentum going. Bondarenko Edwards at the back. Sunderland, well, he's gone to where he should be. He's policing the group while his teammate Kavanagh's off the front. Riders that rode the elite men's race and have pulled out, now would be a good time to take your transponders off, hand them back in at the St. Luke's white tent. It's on the left-hand side of the finish line. Get ahead of the game. Keep it going. Keep pushing on it, Tasman. He's still keeping his gap. He's still holding on to that 8th place. 8 minutes of racing left for Tasman Nankervis. But the riders we're really interested in is those 2 riders out in front, Edmondson and Kavanagh. And they're being chased by that incredible riding group, being mostly done by James Whelan. James Whelan seems to be the major contributor.
Indeed, and yeah, we really are down to the last bit now, aren't we? We've got less than 10 minutes of racing left on the clock with those couple of laps after 55 minutes. So our motorbike comes through, Alex Edmondson and Ryan Kavanagh. I think that gap's just closed a little bit, Pat.
Yeah, but it's always James Whelan. He's just doing the job. I think he's worked out, look, I'm not going to be able to get away. I need to bring this group back and give me teammate Bondarenko Edwards a chance. He's the guy that's got the National Road Series stage victory under his belt. And I tell you what, this kid, he just gets more and more impressive. I just cannot believe it. The way he's ridden in the Tour of Tasmania this week, and he looks like he's just riding the front for the entire race here. Cam Bailey's on his wheel as James Whelan, he keeps pushing the pace. There's no point in racing for third when you've got two riders. You might as well put it all on the line and give Sasha a chance for glory. $3,000, those young kids, they're under 19s.
That go a long way to paying for uni fees one day, maybe.
Or a trip to Europe to race your push bike.
I know which way I'd be going, and it wouldn't be the study way. All right. So, Ryan Kavanagh, Alex Edmondson safely into Cimetière Street. We can see the big Shimano Arch, round one of the National Sprint Series. As we mentioned earlier, they'll then head to Sydney and Melbourne. So, a real coup for the Launceston Cycling Festival to be part of this National Shimano Series for 2017. It really shows where this event rates nationally and indeed around the world on the cycling map. So here we see Ryan Kavanagh, Alex Edmondson. Let's see if that gap's closed. They've still got a very, very large margin. Here they come, the chasing five. And it's Ryan Kavanagh and Alex Edmondson. That gap down to probably only about 50 or 60 metres now. See Alex really strain there on the face. Ryan Kavanagh right on his hammer. As they go along the straight, they don't look down the hill, they look straight ahead. Final stages. There he is, James Whelan. Let's really show appreciation for this chasing group. They're right in this race still, right over his shoulder. Cam Bailey looking very strong as well. James Whelan, as we mentioned, leading the way.
They certainly are in this race, but I suspect next time they come around, they've probably got 2 laps to go. Can't be far off. So there's not a lot of distance that the two in front have to do to survive, but it'll take one big effort from behind. I tell you what, though, I wouldn't want to have riders hunting down on me into this final attempt up the wall, because we saw it earlier. Macy Stewart, she made the big gallon attack at the bottom of the wall, and it was the momentum off her wheel that drew out the victory for Charlotte Lucas, and it was a great win. And Macy Stewart did say after the race, I know what I should have done, but it doesn't work that way. Still a great ride, but can someone do the Charlotte Lucas move in the men's race as well?
So here they come, Alex Edmondson and Ryan Kavanagh, number 2 and number 22. Alex Edmondson leading the way. I reckon they've just increased that margin slightly too, probably out to about 80 metres as Edmondson looks over the shoulder. World Individual Pursuit Champion, World Teams Pursuit Champion, Commonwealth Games gold medalist, and the very talented Ryan Kavanagh right on his shoulder. We've only got about probably 3 to 4 laps left to go. The move being made by Dylan Sunderland. He finds himself at that front from the young man once again there, James Whelan, right on his shoulder as well, followed by number 11, Cam Bailey. So they haven't got long to try and close this gap down to the final stages of the BMW Stan Shaker Launceston Cycling Classic. So we're approaching 20 to 6, so at around 5:40 they should then get 2 laps left to go. So we've probably got roughly about 4 laps of this race remaining, and a lot can happen. That's about 4.5 kilometres of racing, 1.1k per lap. Now we're about to see our leaders, Ryan Kavanagh and Alex Edmondson, about to head up the hill once again. We'll see the leading bike about to come around the corner, and we'll be able to see how this gap is looking. Here they come, they're about to swing in. Pat, this is going to be really decisive just to see what's happening at the back end.
Well, it's definitely decisive, but they've got about 3 seconds. If they come around in 1, 2, 3, I reckon it's starting to get out too far. They've done just enough, these two, I think. Kavanagh and Edmondson will be the two to fight this out, I reckon. They've only got a few minutes plus 2 laps to go, and it's stopped back there because Whelan was doing all the work, and it was Sunderland that came through last lap, and he put the drops on. He slowed the group down. Kavanagh's really pushing the pace. I tell you what, Edmondson's not going to get an easy win, and Kavanagh wants it. He's hungry. He's been hungry all season. He's been getting a lot of good scalps, but he wants to get another win.
My word, he does. And yeah, this mountain looks too high to climb.
Yeah, well, Whelan has tipped absolutely everything into it, and if no one else can help him, and sometimes it's not a choice they're not helping him, they can't help him because he's hurt them too much.
All right, so we'll find out very shortly. I reckon they're going to have a couple of laps left to go. We'll wait till the official word comes through. But it's Ryan Kavanagh and Alex Edmondson. Edmondson clinging very closely to the fencing there as they sweep round Tamer Street into Cimetière. Ryan Kavanagh, Alex Edmondson, certainly a race in two. That gap is very, very big. Well, what a ride it's been, in particular, as you mentioned, Pat, from James Whelan. He really deserves a podium finish. And let's hope that he can finish amongst it. He's been very brave today and raced magnificently.
Yeah, but I think he's tipped it all in for his teammate Bondarenko Edwards, and I would too, because this finish really suits the young rider of Edwards. But these two are the ones we're focusing on for the time being. Edmondson and Kavanagh, and how it'll play out. Well, as I mentioned earlier, very different bike riders in their characteristics. Edmondson really quick, can get up that wall though, but Kavanagh, he's the one with the more time trialling capability, I reckon, only ever so slightly. Look at the move here, it's Whelan, I believe. What a ride. If this is James Whelan, this is an incredible ride. Looks like it's James Whelan. They've gone through 2 laps to go, and it is in fact Whelan. Well, ladies and gentlemen, give him a big round of applause. 2 laps to go when you go through, and just like he did in the Tour of Tasmania, 3rd place. He's going to have to ride hard though. He's got a big engine, and he's only a young kid. He's just a kid racing men, but he's making a great stand on the scene today.
So
Bailey tries to chase.
So he's got 2 laps to go as our leading riders, Ryan Kavanagh, Alex Edmondson. When they get to the start finish, they'll have 1 lap to go. So their second last time as they swinging down now into Cimetière Street. So it's 1.1k per lap. So they've got about 1.5 kilometres of racing left to go. And James Whelan, well, we can't speak glowingly enough of this young man. He came off his bike early on in the race, rejoined, got the lap's grace. And at the moment, he is in 3rd place. Sensational last lap that he rode. And here they come, Alex Edmondson, Ryan Kavanagh. It's a race in 2. Let's make some noise. Their second last lap. They're going to get the bell lap. Huge crowds down the hill. And Ryan Kavanagh just opened up a little bit of a gap, and Alex Edmondson out of his seat, not too far away. And they come around the roundabout. They'll have 1 lap left to go. Ryan Kavanagh, Alex Edmondson, toe-to-toe. It's like a boxing match, these two. Who's going to have the final kick? 1 lap left to go, Pat. It's going to be a sensational finish.
Yeah, get behind them. They've done a great race. It's been an incredible addition this year. But how's the ride by James Whelan? He hasn't given up yet. He's still pushing on the pedals. Just 15 seconds the time gap. Well, wouldn't it be incredible if he could make the junction? Get behind this young kid. This is a kid for the future. Can't Whelan. Push it, son. Go.
Unbelievable riding from James Whelan. 3rd in the Tour of Tas, and he's backed it up 2 days later. Absolutely sensational. Well, there they are, our leading riders. They're into Tamer Street. Let's see whether James Whelan can make a bit more of a move and get them in sight. We can't see him in the vision just yet, but it's Edmondson and Kavanagh leading the way, and Whelan just out of the picture at the moment as they head into Cimetière Street now. So they've got about 450, 500 metres left to go. Kavanagh and Edmondson, it's going to come down to the final hill and the final corner once again. It's not going to be the packed finisher last year, but it is going to be a sensational finish. It's about to get very, very competitive. They're ready to wind it up for the final lap, Pat. Here comes our leading bike, and they're about to head into the hill.
Well, I'll tell you, Whelan, he's a bit far back, but they won't want to cut and mouse too much here. It's Kavanagh on the front, Edmondson behind him. He needs to close him out. He needs to hold out Edmondson in this corner. It's going to be a big effort. But now he launches. Kavanagh launches. Can Edmondson get over the top? It's actually an impressive move by Kavanagh. He's got the lead here. He just needs to come into the final corner. He goes through to the... Oh, nice. He brake checks it to go. He's going to go, son. Kavanagh! Kavanagh! What a win! What a ride! Kavanagh! He's defied the odds. Everyone thought Edmondson, but they were smart, intelligent, and Whelan. Now he comes through right into the line. What a win there by Kavanagh. Whelan, put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. What a ride by this young kid.
Outstanding.
What a ride.
James
Incredible.
Whelan.
I tell you right now, that kid probably win next year. He's incredible. Here's the fight for 4th place. Sunderland's launched real long. He's the only one with legs left. But Bailey's fighting hard. Bonderigo Edwards there as well. It looks like Sunderland's going to lead in the corner. They're nearly dead on their legs. These guys have been racing full gas for an hour. Sunderland through the corner. He'll lead it out. Bailey, but Bailey's got a bit of punch. Oh, there's a bit of a hook there. But it's Sunderland. Bailey, Bonderigo Edwards, and then coming in there, Jesse Coyle. Wow, what a finish. Bunch sprint here. This is the last 2 places. Well, Tasman Nankervis, what a ride this will be. He got caught by this group. He got a bit of a rest, and I think he's going to take one of the last places. He is. What a great ride there by the young man. Holiday, who is it in the... Did you get the number of the 10th place? I can't quite catch it. But it is Edmondson and Kavanagh. They were out in front the last 10 laps. And well, we all expected Edmondson to come over the top. But I tell you right now, what a ride, and it was a tactical ride. He launched at the right time, he held him out, and then he did the ever so slight touch of the brakes through the corner at the end there, and opened up his sprint perfect, knowing it was only 100 metres to the line. Well, put your hands together. Here they come now, ladies and gentlemen. The 2 guys that put on the best show. But Kavanagh, he's rewarded with that big win that he's wanted. Well done.
Outstanding ride. Here they come, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, up the hill. What a race between these 2. Let's give them a huge round of applause. They've got to come up this hill. He's even going to do the old mono, Ryan Kavanagh. Look at him up there on one wheel. Where's he got this energy from? Ryan Kavanagh, our winner. Alex Edmondson, our runner-up, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give him a huge round of applause. Incredible performance. Pat?
I've got Ryan with me now. Well, mate, that's a big ride, a really big ride, and a very smart ride, more to the point. What were you thinking coming into that last lap? Because obviously you got a rider there and he's got such speed and pedigree.
Yeah, I knew I just had to be first into this corner and then I'd have the run of the line, so it's pretty hard to get over someone in 100 metres, but yeah, like we had Sundo in the break and I had a pretty easy ride when he was off the front, and as soon as he came back, they hesitated. I hit him, and Edmo came with me. I knew he was going good from Noosa, so yeah, pretty stoked to be honest.
Well, you move, and here's your teammate now, but your move was predictable as such because Edmondson followed you immediately when you attacked. He knew you were going to do it. And then you got together, and I think if I was him, I would have been really happy with the scenario. He would have backed himself to beat you in a sprint, but then at the end, you just crafted it perfectly.
Yeah, I got over him, but you know, I was feeling good, and I've been going good all week, and yeah.
But it comes down to a team effort in the end, and it was your teammate and Dylan that laid the foundations for your win tonight. But you'll probably have a couple of frothies now the Tour of Tassie's over and get on to the next one.
Oh, we've been having them for the last few days, so beers and garlic bread got this win, that's for sure.
Congratulations, well done guys.
Good on you, Pat. And we'll have the official presentations very shortly. Okay, so time now for the official presentations, and first of all, ladies and gentlemen, we've got the sprint prizes, and our runner-up in the sprint series today will score themselves a very nice 6-pack of Willie Smith, and that's Ryan Kavanagh. Sure, the six-pack of Willie Smith might go down very, very well tonight. Well done, Ryan. So we'll catch up with you very shortly once again. And our winner today of the Sprint Series, and they'll get the Willie Smith Sprint jersey and $500 cash. And the Sprint jersey to be presented by Georgie Brown is Dylan Sunderland. We might get you just to jump up on the podium there for some photos, Dylan. It'd be fantastic. So congratulations to Dylan Sunderland. What an outstanding race he had today. Very early in that race, he really set the pace. It was an outstanding effort. So congratulations. Okay, now our top three of the BMW Launceston Stand Shaker Cycling Classic. Our third place getter. What a race he rode today. He had a spill very early in the race, rejoined the race, and he really put in a power of work in those final few laps. Thoroughly deserved a podium finish. Please congratulate James Whelan. So, Ian Holman from Launceston BMW is going to present James with a very nice six-pack. Some very, very nice Huon salmon. Some great Tasmanian product here. And the BMW cap. Great ride, James. Congratulations. James Whelan, our runner-up. His first visit to Launceston in the Stand Shaker Cycling Classic. He's had an outstanding race. It came right down to the final sprint to the finish. He's a world champion, a Commonwealth Games gold medalist. Great to have him here in Launceston. Please congratulate Alex Edmondson. Very excited by the Willie Smith there and the salmon. Big smile on his face. It's a great ride. And to our winner. Well, what a performance from this young man. Very, very strong finish. And he had the power. How these two actually had the time to rev up the crowd with a lap to go was extraordinary to watch as well. Great camaraderie between the two. Please congratulate our winner who received $3,000, Ryan Kavanagh. So Ian Holman from Launceston BMW to present the winner's sash. Our great partners as well, Van Diemen Brewing, Will Thatcher with a beautiful pack of Van Diemen's Jacob's Ladder. Huon salmon as well. And have a look at this Magnum, courtesy of Pipers Brook Vineyard. He's going to have his hands full. And finally, Ian Holman from Launceston BMW to present the winner's cheque for $3,000 to Ryan Kavanagh. Ryan, before you open that and slaughter us all with that spray, what an outstanding race. You must be thrilled. It was a brilliant match race almost between the two of you for those final few laps. And this young man came home with a real big burst as well. Was very impressive, but was a great race.
Yeah, I knew who was chasing. I was chopping off with him all Thursday. I knew how strong he was, so we knew he had to keep it going. But yeah, just stoked to get the win. It was a super day, super week. Weather's been perfect, you know, so happy to be here and really love the event. Love this.
There's a huge crowd that thronged here, and the two of you almost seem to be really lapping it up and enjoying yourselves before that final burst of the final lap.
Yeah, you know, these crits, you know, if no one enjoys it, it doesn't happen again. So got to put on a bit of a show, and, you know, all these people coming out to watch us, got to pinch yourself sometimes. It's just great, so much fun.
Well, we estimated a crowd of 9,000 here today, which is absolutely unbelievable. It's been a great atmosphere. What's your immediate future hold for you? Where are you off to next?
The pub.
Well, I did say the immediate future, so you're a very honest man. Well done.
Cheers, mate.
Ryan Kavanagh, our winner, ladies and gentlemen. So Ryan Kavanagh, Alex Edmondson and James Whelan. Alex having a bit of a skull. James, he's going to have a little sip of it too. Why not? He thoroughly deserves it. Had an unbelievable week of riding in the Tour of Tas and third place here as well. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the 2017 University of Tasmania Cycling Festival. A huge thank you to all our fabulous supporters and to you, the crowd, for coming out on this magic day. It's been a wonderful event once again for 2017. You can see why it's rated one of the best criterium races, not only in Australia but the world. It's been a great day. Thanks for your support and supporting great events here in Launceston. Have a great evening.